ladies and gentlemen. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good afternoon to all attendees. My name is Muhammad Sahil bin Nordin from Shariah Governance Visas of Bursa, Malaysia. We extend our gratitude to everyone present today from various backgrounds, such as from public listed company and the industry practitioner, for joining us for the Bursa PLC's Investor Relation Shariah Series webinar in collaboration with the Shariah Center of Excellence of Bursa, Malaysia. Today, our topic is on introduction of Maqasid Al-Shariah, guidance for Islamic capital market, Malaysia. The primary objective of this guidance is to address various challenges and opportunities identified in advancing and shaping the next phase of the Islamic capital market development. The rationale behind choosing this topic is to ensure a comprehensive understanding of Maqasid Al-Shariah and its implementation in the industry. We are honored today to have Dr. Azrul Iskandar Mirza, the esteemed Deputy Director of Shariah, Islamic Capital Market Development at the SC, as the speaker for this webinar. In a summary of his background, prior to joining SC in 2022, Dr. Azlan served as a Shariah advisor and committee member at various Islamic financial institutions. He was the chairman of the Shariah Committee at SME Bank and FWD Takaful, a member of the Shariah Committee of the Maybank Islamic, the IB Securities, Lion Islamic Bank, Lion Investment Bank, and HSBC Amanah Takaful. He holds a bachelor degrees in Sharia from University Al-Azhar, Master Management from the International Islamic University Malaysia, and PhD in Islamic Finance from the INSAF University. So if you have any question regarding to the topic today, please post your question in the Q&A chat, and our team will look on it and will be responded by Dr. Azrul after the presentation. So let's embark on the enlightening journey together. And without further ado, we invite Dr. Azrul to commence our session. Thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good afternoon. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Salatu wassalamu ala rasulil amin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. First of all, let us show our gratitude to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, God Almighty, because being given an opportunity for us to be in this online platform. Thank you again for Bursa Malaysia, especially the Center of Excellence in Bursa, of organizing this event. We hope that we can have insightful discussion later on regarding the topic of my presentation today. So, as briefed by our MC just now, Ustaz Muhammad Sahil, I think it is good to have this opportunity to present on brief introductions of Maqasid Al-Shariah guidance for Islamic capital market, where it has been launched in November 2023, almost 1.5 years. And I think we have a series of engagement with the industry players, especially regarding this Maqasid Shariah guidance. But I think this is the first time that we meet the representative from the public listed company, probably to find out what is the insight relating to this guidance, how we want to move forward, how to develop our market further and give more vibrant to the industry, especially in the Islamic capital market. So I think this is a good session for me. I really appreciate this opportunity for this engagement. To set up the context of our discussion today, let us begin with a brief introduction of the Islamic finance. Number one, when talk about Islamic finance, we always associate Islamic finance with Islamic banks, right? Because the discussion of Islamic finance always been started with, in Malaysia, started with the establishment of Islamic banks back in 1983, where during that time the motivations behind the establishment of Islamic banks was Number one, actually because of the sanction of the Muslim community to make sure that their borrowing and lending doesn't involve interest, which is considered prohibited from the scholars' point of view. And with the political will of the government during that time, the establishment giving new alternative for the Muslim community to have the alternative of borrowing, alternative of banking products, especially on the financing and deposit. So actually, it's a good move for Malaysia during that time to establish. And if we realize banking actually is not the sector under the financial, banking is not the industry under the financial sector, because under the financial sector, we have another industry, call it insurance. Then 1984, the first establishment of the takaful companies, the Syarikat Takaful Malaysia had already been established. And in the same time, under the financial sector, we also have the fund management industry, where fund management industry already started prior to the establishment of the Islamic banks. For example, in the light of EPF, established 1951, prior to our independence. I believe Tabung Haji established 1963, and PMB established 1978. I think all of these big institutions established prior to the establishment of Islamic Bank. So since the sanctions already been there for the alternative, especially for the Muslims, so same goes to this fund management industry, where they are not only requesting the borrowing and lending to be Sharia compliant, but also the dividend that they receive from their investment also to be Sharia compliant. So that is why fund management industry, fund manager already have some sanctions there from the market. I would say it means the Muslim community to have the Sharia compliant investment. And I think it started to develop, the fund managers start to develop the portfolio related to Islamic, where I think consists of three major things. Number one, actually Islamic money market. That one is managed by Bank Negara. And number two is managed by what we call it, the fixed income instrument, managed by the Securities Commission. And I think SC introduced the alternative for the fixed income conventional bond to the Sukuk. And until now, the Sukuk actually is expanded, and we still lead globally in terms of Sukuk issuance and outstanding. And number three, we talk about the equity investment. Of course, the fund manager is searching for equity investment. And SC introduced since 1997 the Sharia screening, where we as a regulator screen all the securities under the Bursa, and regard which counter is Sharia compliant and which counter is not Sharia compliant. And it happened until today, where we can see that 80% of the total securities in our market actually Sharia compliant, and the total market cap for the Sharia compliant securities is amounting 1.3 trillion. And in general, the Islamic capital market size, including Sukuk and what we call it, the equity, the Sharia compliant securities, actually is amounting around 60 to 65% in average as compared to the total capital market. I think this is quite a good developments that we have in the Islamic capital market space. But when we try to focus on Islamic finance securities or Islamic securities, Sharia compliant securities, does the PLCs or the public listed company is benefiting from the Sharia compliant status? And the answer is yes. I think we have the few engagement with the PLCs where they say that it is easier for them to have the cross border transaction or cross-border businesses when they want to set up a branch in another jurisdictions. So they say that Sharia compliance status giving them the weightage to bring up the companies and give more easier way for them to be and to set up the business outside our jurisdictions. That's number one. And number two, we see the trend of the importance and awareness of the Sharia compliance status by the PLCs, where I think all PLCs know that we are coming out with the list of the Sharia compliance security twice a year. And inshallah, this month, end of this month, we are coming out with a new list, Sharia compliance securities. And interestingly, we also receive a lot of appeal by the companies, especially PLC, when, let's say, for example, they are originally or initially Sharia compliance, then change the status into non-Sharia compliance. A lot of appeal coming from the PLCs to show the awareness that they need that Sharia compliance status because of a few factors. Number one, because of they are really aware that their investors actually is institutional investors, in the like tabung haji, like EPF, like PNB, for example, that they are mandate to search for the Sharia compliant equity. So that is why these companies make appeal when they have to change status because of financial ratio whatsoever has been formulated by our Sharia Advisory Council. So this is a good things that we can see that I think initially when we started the Sharia compliant security list, lots of PLC does not aware and they don't care even at the starting point that they are Sharia compliant or not. But I think lately the demand for the Sharia compliant securities has remained, and I believe the trend will continue strong in this kind of things. And the second context that I want to mention here and to bring is all about the global financial landscape. So we can see that our global financial landscape is going a rapid transformation, especially when I think almost all nations is committed to the sustainability agenda. So that is why I think when the nation is committed towards the sustainability agenda, talk about the ESG, I think it gives the impact to all sectors, not only energy sectors related to climate change, but I believe that all businesses is moving towards the ESG agenda. And the great thing is that financial sector is being enabler for all sectors that we have. So that is why financial sector plays a big role in terms of leading and drive the sustainability agenda. So that is why from the business perspective, public listed company perspective, investment perspective, we can say that our investors now is not only focusing about or give the focus into the return per se, but also they are giving really concerned about the values behind the returns, right? So that is why they are focusing to have the environmental impact. Does the company have the environmental impact? Does it give a positive or negative part of it? They also think, investors also think about the societal good, whether this company towards a good directions to develop the society at large. And they also have the concern about the good governance practice. So that is why our investors' appetite now has already been changed, not only looking into the returns, but also looking into the values of it. So in relation to the sustainability agenda and a public listed company, I believe that we are aware on the NSRF, National Sustainability Reporting Framework, that been issued to comply with the IFRS sustainability framework. So this is another milestones that been made to make sure that we also accommodate to the investors' need nowadays. And interestingly, I just want to say that moving forward, our young investors also drive the ESG agenda, because I think you can see their appetite. They are really concerned about the ESGs, really concerned about the impact. I think because our younger generation is really sensitive in this what we call it the time of the social media. And I believe that if I give a situation now when the company, let's say we invest in A companies, or a public listed company, or a securities, for example, and that securities, for whatever reasons, they have the issues related to give the harm to the environment, and it being spread in the social media. I think if the investors like our age, we are not too old, but actually the middle generations, we say that, oh yeah, I'm really concerned about the environmental harm that been done by this company. Okay, I just wait until I recover my principles, then I will sell I'm considering to sell my ownership. So this is our appetite as the middle generations, right? We really care about the, at least not even though we are not making money, but we are not make a loss. So we can consider to sell the securities, but later. But younger generation is quite sensitive of it, even though they for example, they know that they are out of the money, they are in loss, they dare to sell, because the sensitivity and the sanctions on the social media has really impacted them, right? So I think social media plays a big role in terms of putting the sanction and set the appetite and behavior of our younger investors, especially toward ESG. I think Malaysian I think moreover in Malaysia, I think netizens somehow play a role in influencing the people, but we cannot deny the fact that shape the mindset of the younger investor nowadays. So what I want to try to say here is the demand for the ESG is there, and moving forward for the next 10, 20 years, this will be the appetite for the younger generation and investors as well. Even though, some say that oh, this is only the retailers. Yes, I would say I agree. The retailers does not give the impact, but I think these young generations will shape the future later on, and can influence the institutional investors to put the drive into the ESG, to put the demand on the ESG. So it will impact sooner or later our appetite, movement of the business itself. So my focus here, actually, the investors' appetite has been changed, and moving forward, we need to take care and take into consideration the ESG factors. So another point of view before I go into the definitions and the brief on the Maqasid Sharia, just take a look at the halal and Sharia compliant, where we can see there's a trend, opportunity on the growing Muslim consumer market. I think let's talk about the populations of Muslim populations that demand for the halal businesses, projected from 2 billion into 2.8 billion in terms of populations, and the spending size will grow time to time. So this is another factor to show that when there is a Muslim population, always been the demand for the Sharia compliant product. So two things as a narrative and to set the context of discussion. Number one, I would say the demand of the Sharia compliant continue to grow heavily because of the expansion of populations. And number two, I would say that the demand for the ESG investment will also continue to grow in the next 10 and 20 years. But the question now, I just want to throw to the audience today, since both demand is crucial and important, how we want to bridge between both. Because I think if we can just give deep and dive into both sides, sustainability and Islamic finance, we can see there's similarities and commonalities between both, right? Because, for example, ethical investment been mentioned by both sides. Sustainability talk about ethics, and Islamic finance always talk about ethics. For example, the tobacco industry, for example, we can see that both sides actually put in something which is not the good directions of it. Even a tobacco industry is considered non-Sharia compliant from that kind of perspective. So moving forward, I believe that this will be another demand, is to bridge between the Islamic finance and the sustainability agenda because of the commonalities and similarities that we have. And the good things is that the scholars already discussed the topic, how to bridge and marry between Islamic finance and sustainability since 2015. I attended so many conferences, courses, roundtable discussion among the scholars, and they always put the solution to marry between the sustainability agenda as well as the Islamic finance. We need a new driver for the Islamic finance, where we should go for the Maqasid Sharia. So that is why I think based on this situation, I would say that SC has taken a role and proactive role to come up with the issuance of the guidance related to Maqasid Sharia, where it serves as a fundamental development effort to make sure that our strong and resilient industry, especially related to the capital market. And of course, the purpose of issuance this document, number one, is solidify the full potentials of ICM to society and the real economy to sustainable and responsible investing. I think it's quite interesting to note that when we discuss sustainability, especially when the scholars, they mention about the sustainability from Sharia point of view or the Islamic perspective, they say that Islamic sustainability from Islamic perspective is more beyond, and it doesn't have the time border of it. Because for Muslim, we do have what we call the belief of here and hereafter. After we die, we believe that there is another life for it, and that life actually is sustainable and forever, right? So whatever we do here, good deeds that we do here in this world will affect our sustainability after the life. So that is why I think this is quite, I would say, every religion is also promoting to do the good deeds, right? So that is why the commonalities and between the sustainability and Islamic finance always been there. So that's why our perspective, I mean, the Muslim perspective, scholars' perspective on sustainability actually same, not only looking into the future generations, but also looking forward the sustainability after life. So the similarities is there. Probably the time border will be different, but I think we are moving into the same direction. So that's number one. Why we are coming out with this document? Because we want to solidify the full potential of Islamic finance with bridging between Islamic finance and sustainability. Number two, we want to adhere utmost ethical standards to ensure that ICM continues to uphold the strong principle of Sharia and maintain the trust and confidence of stakeholders. For example, the businesses always talk about the maximizing the shareholders' wealth. We want to put some mindset in our guidance. Yes, it is not wrong to maximize the shareholders' wealth, but we must also have the responsible profit. Yes, we can make a profit, but we are not doing harm to our society. We are not doing harm to our environment. We must make sure that everything we do is efficient, so that this is the definition of maximizing the profit. We can still maintain with the terms, but I think our mindset is different, because we want to make sure that we have the ethical profit of it. It's not, some people say that, oh, Islam, we want to reduce the profit. No, I think the idea actually is not to reduce the profit. The idea is to make sure that the profit that we gain from any businesses that we are doing is responsible not only for us, but also for our future generation. So this is what we try to do. We try to set the mindset in our document, in this Maqasid Al-Shariah guidance. And number three, of course, when we are coming out with this guidance, we encourage and emphasize on the substance to ensure the continuation of our competitive advantage. Yes, I think all this while, for example, our screening is just only focusing on the financial matters, right? We are focusing on the financial ratio. We are focusing on the certain threshold that have been set by our Sharia Advisory Council. But I think we believe that Islam is not only related to that. Islamic finance is not only related to that. How we want to promote ethical, we must have some certain more indicators to go beyond Sharia compliance. So I think we want to see any potential and insight from our PLCs today. Can we do something about it later for the purpose of our development? So this is another things that we are looking at, because when we are coming up with this document, actually we are not focusing on ICM product. We are not focusing on how we want to align this Maqasid Sharia with the Sukuk. No, I think when we are coming out with this document, we also mindful that our ecosystem is not only consists of the product like fixed income instrument or investment instrument, but we want to also to reach out the entities how we can embrace this document, and to make sure that we can reach our maximum potential in bringing the new values to our Islamic finance. Number two, just want to mention before I go for the next slide is, when we mention about the Maqasid Shariah, the question raised from probably the public and the stakeholders is that, is the Maqasid Shariah is never exist before? The answer is no. Maqasid Shariah has always been there, because Maqasid Shariah has always been the underlying principles before we are coming out with any rulings that I will explain later. But I would say that when we are coming out with this Maqasid Shariah guidance, we are trying to manifest some things that we are doing it internally before. So we take into consideration the Maqasid Shariah when coming out any products related to Islamic finance, but we are not manifest it somewhere. So it is timely to manifest it into the documentation. That is why, from the product perspective, for example, in Sukuk, we try to ask the Sharia advisors on every product in Islamic capital market to manifest that in their Sharia pronouncements. No, not only say it is prohibited or permissible, but to do the justification not only on the legal terms, but also to look into the substance as well. So, for example, if you issue Sukuk, if you raise fund for the purpose of business, Sharia advisors need to look whether the utilizations of proceeds from the Sukuk is really beneficial and giving the impact to the society or not, has been directed from the Sharia point of view. So this is another another curve that we need to have in our development in Islamic capital market and our Islamic finance. Ladies and gentlemen, our development of the guidance is also in line with our SC Capital Market Master Plan 3, which end this year, and we are coming out with the CMP4 later. This year, we are coming out with our CMP4, where under our CMP3 is to position Malaysia as Regional Center for Sharia Compliant and Sustainable Responsible Investment, to be recognized as a global leader in ICM and to promote the greater alignment with the Maqasid Al-Shariah. So when we mention this in our Capital Market Master Plan, so the people is asking what is Maqasid Al-Shariah that we are talking about, and this is the document which serve as the guidance for the industry later on. So it is in line with our CMP3. And if I can go deep dive into what is Maqasid Al-Shariah, I think, yeah, it's an Arabic term. Maqasid means the intention of Sharia, where it refers to the objective or intents of Sharia, as well as the secrets or wisdoms which are ordained by Allah, the God, the Almighty, comprehensively in most situations, revelations and commandments without specifying certain Sharia rulings. Actually, this is the definition is coming from the scholars. But to simplify the definitions of what is Maqasid Sharia about, is the intention behind the ruling. For example, if certain ruling has been directed by the God, for example, why Islam prohibits the usury, the riba, because one of the wisdom and the secrets behind the ruling actually is to make sure there is no gap between the rich and the poor. So rather than we just focus on the form of this is not a usury, but also to make sure that the forms can also serve the substance of it. So we want to make sure that every ruling in Sharia also serve a purpose. So we don't want the people to manipulate the Sharia contract. At the end of the day, it doesn't serve the purpose at all. So we want to bring this intention into the form. So that is why we call it as a Maqasid Sharia, to make sure that everything that we do, every ruling that we are coming out, needs to have the serve the benefit and the purpose of it. So that is the Maqasid Sharia that been discussed by the scholars, where from the scholars' perspective, they says that every ruling in Sharia, everything is about it is all talk about the two ultimate goals. Number one actually is to promote the benefit, and number two actually is preventing harm. So the definitions of promoting the benefit and preventing the harms can be translated into five kind of protections. We call it the Daruriyat Khams in Arabic, or the five necessities. Number one, to make sure that every ruling, single ruling in Sharia actually is to protect the religion, is to protect the life, to protect the lineage, to protect the intellect, as well as protect the wealth of the people. So every ruling that have in the Sharia itself, in Islam, actually is to serve this kind of purpose. So that is why when we talk about the prohibition of alcohol from Islamic perspective, why Islam prohibit that? Because of to protect the intellects of people. When the people in intoxications, for example, they will harm their intellect and make the wrong decisions, right? So that is why protections of intellect, promoting educations, all leads into the protections of intellect. Same goes to why we're not allowing the uncertainty in the contract in financial transaction, because we don't want to have the dispute among the people. And this is part of the protections of wealth has been discussed by scholars. So this is another layer of understanding and another layer of substance that we want to see it serve the purpose of the Sharia itself. So actually it's quite philosophy in nature. I would say it's quite philosophy, because some says that how we want to know the intents of God, since we are the creatures of God, right? We are created by the God. I think it is based on the guidance taken from the Holy Quran and the wisdom of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. So when we're coming out with this guidance, we are aware that this is the discussion among the scholars. So we want to translate this into the financial sector. Actually, it's not easy. It's not easy to relate and bridge between this knowledge, the philosophical knowledge, into the translation in the financial sector itself. But I think with the help of our Sharia Advisory Council, with the help of the scholars, with the help of the fraternity in Islamic finance, I believe that we managed to coming out with some principles and aspiration in this document, where this is the framework that we are looking at. The guidance is focusing on coming out to serve the five necessities as I mentioned just now, and from five necessities we create a specific objective of financial transactions. We are taking it from the view one of the scholars in Maqasid Shariah, namely Muhammad Tahir bin Ibn Ashur. So he's the one who founded to have, because of the five necessities is too big and philosophical, we need to translate it into the more specific objective, and that is why we are coming out with the aspiration. Out of the five necessities, we have the 6 aspirations of it, and from 6 aspirations, we are coming out with the 15 principles that been gathered related specifically to the Islamic capital market. Talk about the cultivating attainment of basic needs, demonstrating the positive social culture, and of course, under this principle, we are trying to develop more indicators how we want to serve and this principle in the hope that it can attain the higher objective of it. Meaning to say that, let's say we take one principle, cultivating attainment of the basic needs in this framework, we have the certain indicators. It is hoped that when we achieve the principle number 1, it can also achieve and attain the higher objective in the financial transactions, the higher objective of the 5 necessities, until the highest one, which to promote the human welfare. Actually, this is another set of framework that we try to come out to give some guidance to the industry, how we want to bridge between Islamic capital market and sustainability in particular, as well as another ethical instruments that we are looking at in Islamic finance space. So if I can reveal to you, after 1.5 years, we issues this guidance in relation to the product. As of January, I think we have made 19 engagement made with the Sharia advisors and relevant stakeholders in our country. And of course, we've also been invited abroad to present our guidance, but I think it's not been counted. And as I mentioned just now, this is the first engagement with the public listed company. Thanks to Bursa for bridging us with this session. And from the Sukuk perspective, we already have 26 Sukuk submissions that have been made, submit to SC for the approval, which in their Sharia pronouncement by Sharia advisors, they already aligned the Sukuk with the principles of the Maqasid Shariah that mentioned in the guidance. And the total amount Maqasid Shariah guidance aligned with Sukuk issuance actually is around 10 billion ringgit. So the aspiration is to encourage, currently is to encourage adoptions of the guidance by public listed company later on, because if I can mention here, after we made some assessment with the public listed company annual reports, I think lots of them, more than 1,000 companies, right? We try to see one by one. Actually, lots of public listed company already do the extra miles beyond the Sharia compliant. Yes, our Sharia compliant requirement today under screening is quite easy to make sure that you are not exceeding the threshold of 5% and 20% on the certain activities which is prohibited from Sharia point of view, and not to exceed the certain financial ratio benchmark. But it's good things to see, and surprisingly to see the public company doing more than that. For example, in humanity-related aspiration, you have the sustainability practices. You already have you mentioned in your annual reports about you're encouraged to have the Muslim Staff Association. You're providing the Muslim-friendly facilities like surau, which is, I think, this is another milestone which is not catered under any indicators, I believe, under other standards that we're looking related to the sustainability. From the justice and benevolence aspiration, talk about the Sharia-related teachings attended, which is quite surprised, because somehow we just mentioned about we just report on the training, but this one you already mentioned specifically on the Sharia-related trainings. Yeah, halal commitments and effort. You have the halal committees, for example, in the governance part of it. talk about the Sharia compliant product and services. Of course, there are certain consumer product needs and require the halal certification. And of course, you have developed the Sharia compliant product, try to get the endorsement by the Sharia advisors outside there to give more added value to the product that been made by the public listed companies. For the financial sector, for example, you have the Sharia compliant deposit and financing from flexibilities and innovation, try to embrace digitalization process in the Sharia compliance services offering. This is for the technology company, try to embrace that. From the fiduciary and accountability perspective, I believe that other than financial institution, like in the light of Bank Islam, MBSB or Syarikat Takaful, we are quite surprised that some of the PLC have the Sharia committee and even have the Sharia governance function in it. You are doing it beyond been required by our Sharia Advisory Council in SC, which is actually is a good move. And in terms of accessibility and inclusivity aspirations, some of the PLCs is paying the zakat. You have the CSR initiative, which increase and achieve align with the aspiration number 6 under our guidance. So I believe that that's why we want to have the engagement with the PLC today, because we foresee that the awareness actually is beyond expectation, where you are doing extra mile, you're doing beyond compliance. And I believe that this engagement is probably is a right avenue for us, probably to discuss what should be the moving forward for the PLCs regarding this Maqasid Shariah guidance. Should we having something in place, for example, moving forward in terms of development of our Islamic capital market, or probably you have any suggestion on how we want to embrace this document from the PLC perspective or the Sharia compliant security perspective. So I would like to leave that kind of discussion, and I would like to end this kind of discussion with that question and to pose that question to get your insight. So Ustaz Sahil, I believe that I want to stop here because I want to see and hear any suggestion and opinions given by our respective public listed company. So with that, I will end my presentation today, and back to you, Ustaz. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Azrul, for the great and detailed explanation on the Maqasid Shariah guidance. And as I noticed some feedback pointing on slides of the Maqasid Shariah guidance. You may also get the soft copy of the Maqasid, the guidance on Maqasid Shariah guidance at the SC website. So, as mentioned by Dr. Azrul just now, we open now for Q&A session or any feedback especially from the PLCs. And please feel free to type your questions or feedback in the chat box, or you may ask or give your feedback accordingly verbally. Any feedback from the floor? Okay, Dr. Azrul, I think this is the first question. Assalamualaikum. It's possible the Maqasid can be used for medium businesses as guidance?
I think the short answer is yes, because I believe that this guidance is also curated and drafted for the purpose of entity to embrace on, and the definition of entities actually is not focusing on a certain segment. For example, public listed company, we also welcome the SMEs, medium companies, or even a micro small micro SME to embrace the document as well. But I believe there's some hurdle. Number one actually is to understand it further and how to implement it. Currently, probably we may get the advice or the consultation with our registered Sharia advisors under the SC, because our registered Sharia advisor has been briefed by this document, and at the current juncture they are attending a lot of workshops and trainings related to this Maqasid Sharia, because at the current juncture, from the product perspective, we are developing indicators based on the submissions given by the industry players. If I can shift this discussion into the product like Sukuk, for example, as I mentioned, we have already received 26 submission of the Sukuk that align with the Maqasid Sharia, and of course the interpretation actually quite varies and scattered. Each of the Sharia advisors have their own interpretations of the principle, but now we are try to what we call it, to try to consolidate them and to try to find what is the standardized approach, because we believe the bottom-up process is the better one, rather than we are giving the directions directly to the industry players, because we believe the process of bottom-up will give more organic growth in terms of how we want to align it, because industry players know better than us. They are in the field, right? We are curating for them, but they know how to interpret it better. So that is why when we are coming up with the standardized approach, how they want to align with the principles, I think I would say that we are coming out with the standardized approach for the Sukuk later on this year. Hopefully this year we can issue that. This is for the benefit of the product itself. But for the PLC, we are still not having some directions. Probably we want to seek the guidance and the suggestion from the PSCs as well. But for SMEs, yes, you can use that for your guidance later on. And of course, as I mentioned, Maqasid Shariah, the fundamental foundation, it actually is the Sharia compliantness lah. Meaning to say that if you are not Sharia compliant, then you try to embrace the document, I think it cannot be jived, and most probably there will be an odd situation later on. So that's why I think you may start with the understanding the guidance. As mentioned by Ustaz Sahil just now, you can download the guidance to understand better. You may seek the clarity from us how you want to use the guidance later on. We are not stopping anyone to use this guidance, because actually it's for the benefit of all.
Azrul, if we can just, before go back to the Shamimi question, thank you, Shamimi. We can go to the Q&A section.
Okay.
Is there any other jurisdiction doing this, or Malaysia is the first?
I would say yes. The answer is yes. Okay, this kind of question about the dilemma of NGOs, can be used guidance, upgrading governance among them. Yes, my answer is always yes on it lah, because we don't want to stop anyone to use the guidance. But if you have the doubt or you have the questions, inquiry related to this guidance, please feel free to email us and we can have the discussion. Also, we yet to think how we want to implement it to the NGOs, but I think it's still possible of it. Yeah, that's a short answer from me.
How the companies strike a balance between profit generation and Maqasid Sharia?
Can you repeat it again?
I think at the Q&A chat box.
Oh, Q&A chat box. Okay, sorry. Let me find. Oh, okay. How do companies strike a balance between profit generation and Maqasid Sharia implementation? Okay, what we try to envision with this document actually is we want to see there's an effort given by the entities or anyone that embrace this document, is to make sure that you are taking a responsible profit. We don't want the situation where you are a Sharia compliant company, you make a lot of profit, but at the end of the day end up with the news is that you are criminalizing or do this discriminations to your staff, for example. So you're not pay it, you're not compensate them fairly, for example. So the issue relating to the fair wages is been raised by this company. So that will give some what we call it harm in terms of the Sharia compliance status. Oh, you are Sharia compliance, but you're not pay well to your staff. So this is not something that we really like to hear from the Sharia compliance. That's why we seek the guidance. So at least from the entity perspective, yes, yes, we make a lot of profit this year, but also we are giving the wages fairly to our staff, for example, employees. And another perspective is that whether, even though we are Sharia compliant, for example, but our product actually is giving harm to the society, right? When it gives the harm to the society, then the people will say, hey, how come you become the Sharia compliance, but you are not giving the benefit for the society, but instead you're giving the harm in terms of pollution, for example. So this is thing that we address when we manifest this document. Yeah, I think we cannot change the world overnight, right? But at least we have the mitigation plan. Yes, somehow in the energy sector, for example, we cannot run away that oil and gas still maintain as one of the big sectors in our countries, but at least we can manifest somewhere that we have the mitigation plan. We can demonstrate that we are shifting into more the clean energy. That manifestation can help in terms of giving and reserve the status of the our Sharia compliance, so that the people, the public out there is not complaining about our Sharia compliance status later on. So this is how we want to strike the balance between the profit generation and Maqasid Sharia. So that's why mindset is very important for this kind of perspective. Another, okay, I can see the question now. Okay, will Maqasid Sharia reporting be redundant with sustainability reporting by the PLCs, since there are similarity between Islamic finance and sustainability? The answers, okay, number one, we are still not find ways whether we want to have the Maqasid Sharia reporting, but I think it's a good suggestion to have the Maqasid Sharia reporting in place. But of course, when we try to, as a regulator, we try to make sure that there's no redundancy happen. Probably this can be the complement to the sustainability reporting that we have, because we do believe that yes, sustainability reporting actually is good. Currently, we are doing a lot of mapping with our guidance with the other standards that we have. For example, SRI, we are doing with the 17 SDG and so on. And when we finish and complete our mapping later on, we will publish it to the public. And whatever you have been reporting in sustainability reporting, we don't want you to repeat it again. Probably any additional reporting can be done if there is no indicator stated in the sustainability later on. So this is another point of view that we want to see if there is any more things that we can report other than the indicators under the sustainability reporting. So of course we try not to have it because we don't want to make the difficulties to the PLC if you want to embark with the Maqasid report later on. Another question, will there any Maqasid Sharia screening based on the guidance on the PLC in the future? I would say it's a good suggestion. We are not thinking it later on, but since you are asking this question, we may put on the list whether it is reliable to have the Maqasid Sharia screening. But I would say that now we have, for example, under Bursa, we have FTSE for goods, right? And FTSE for goods already have their indicators related to ESG. And the simple answer, why not, to have the Maqasid Sharia screening? But of course, before we reach into that, we need to develop the indicators that properly suit with the Maqasid Sharia itself. So I think if we want to go for it, I think it's a still long journey to have it. But if you have the input suggestion, I think anytime we can facilitate that. Yeah. How does the gold investment align with the principles of Maqasid Sharia, particularly in safeguarding wealth and ensuring justice and fairness in the transaction? I think it's a good question. I think we need to ask the scholars. Number one, actually, how you want to take the goal and how you perceive the goal in the first place. Because I think not only the goal, the people in the public and the investment community is asking whether money is a commodity or not a commodity to be traded. So if previously gold been used for the money, and the same question should be asked and posted as well, whether gold actually is good commodity or is a reserve of what we call it as a preserved commodity. So if we continue to discuss this, I think we need another avenue for it if we want to continue that discussion. But I think there's a series of perspective, a lot of very of perspective in discussing the goal. So I think we take that kind of question. Probably we will do the research later on. So I think under number one, gold investment, gold trading actually is not under the purview and jurisdiction of capital market at the moment. So we take that question on and we try to what we call it, do the research first and how we want to bring the matter later. Will this guy, who will verify that the guidance is duly adopted by the PLC? Is the PLC itself or the SC? And does the PLC need to appoint the Sharia advisors? Again, I would say that we don't have any directions yet because we still want to engage with the PLC. How should this moving forward, especially related to the PLC? If I believe that if the guidance to be adopted by the PLCs, I think we can have few options there, whether we SCs is doing the verifications, or probably you need to appoint, if you may, you want to appoint the Sharia advisors anyway, because under the SC, we already have the list of the registered Sharia advisors of SC. So for product and services, for example, Sukuk, they need to appoint from our registered Sharia advisors to advise on Sukuk. So for PLC, it is good if you go to that route, then we need to appoint the Sharia advisors. And as I mentioned just now, even some of our PLC already have the Sharia advisors. So should we have that? I think we should take that discussion moving forward, because we are still looking into what is the right directions moving on. What is the end game of Maqasid Sharia guideline? Number one, it's not a guideline, it's still a guidance. So when talk about the guidelines, it's already been compulsory anyway. But our end game actually is we want to expand the Islamic capital market practice into the beyond compliance, right? As I mentioned, if we just remain the status of Sharia compliant nowadays, we are really worried about the manipulations of using the Sharia compliant status, right? Because currently our Sharia compliance is confined into the legality of the contractual terms. For example, we must make sure that any contract that we have, any transactions that we avoid the usury, we avoid riba, we avoid the uncertainty in the transaction, we avoid the element of gambling. But what about things that giving the harm to the society, giving harm to the environment, for example? If the company is not doing the good governance practice, can we consider that as Sharia compliance? At the end of the day, if you are not doing something about it, so the people will say that Islamic finance is not relevant anymore. So our end game actually is to expand the Sharia compliance status into the beyond Sharia compliance, and this Maqasid guidance will be the guides for us, because as I mentioned, if you try to go beyond Sharia compliance, it's very big. It's quite philosophical. So that's why we are coming out with the principle, and in the hope that this principle can lead us into something where is measurable and give more clarity to the industry. Okay, does it mean the company can be Sharia compliant company but not compliant in terms of Maqasid Sharia? I don't know how to answer this question, because it depends on the perspective. I can say yes and I can say no. Number one, I can say no, because suppose Sharia compliant and Maqasid Sharia actually is one knowledge. Maqasid Sharia actually is substance or the wisdom behind the Sharia itself. If we separate between these two knowledge, we don't want to do that. But we don't want to do that, because as if we are separating between Sharia and Maqasid Sharia. That is the understanding of Maqasid Sharia and Sharia itself. But if we are not separating it at this current juncture, the people only look Sharia compliant into the focus on, as I mentioned just now, prohibitions of riba, prohibitions of uncertainty, and prohibitions of gambling, and not more than that. So the answer is yes or no in this regard. But suppose if you say that you are Sharia compliant, you are not only Sharia in terms of transactions, your activity is supposed to be Sharia compliant. That's supposed to be the ideal one. But from our perspective, currently we try to have the layer of it. The first layer is the fundamental. Actually, you must be Sharia compliant in order to have the maqasid so-called aligned. But in this regard, in answer to your question, is just a separations, right? But that is not the meaning of it. But in terms of practicality, we need to have that kind of things. I hope that will be it can be clarified that way. Because as I mentioned, end game, we want to make sure that the maqasid shall be embedded as a Sharia compliant at the end of the day. Yeah. And the other questions is, will this be presented in the upcoming Nadwa? Actually, this guidance has been presented in the Nadwa of Sharia Advisors, which is scheduled on 26th this month. You are welcome to attend this Nadwa, which we gather Sharia Advisors yearly, right? So it already been presented last year, but this year we are presenting the new development related to the maqasid. Now, I think this year theme actually is we want to bridge between the role of the Sharia advisors with the climate related, and we have the scientists to be presented in our Nadwa to give more insight information, especially for the Sharia advisors to understand the climate change and its effect in terms of the transactions and the business transactions that they are doing. It is still being presented, but I think it's more been specific, not as been presented last year. But I think we still have the series of briefing on this Maqasid Sharia guidance to be done by SC, I think. And even if your organizations need to have this kind of the briefing related to Maqasid Sharia, you can invite us and we are welcome to attend and give you the specific briefing regarding this Maqasid Sharia guidance. Can a Sharia non-compliant company adopt Maqasid? The simple answer is no. Because I think, as I mentioned, the fundamental of it must be the Sharia compliant first. But we cannot stop the people to embrace our document, because if you can see our principles and our framework, actually is quite universal, right? You can see the universality talk about the basic needs, giving the impact to the social, positive social culture, want to demonstrate the fairness and justice. But I think to make sure there is no confusion in the market, since this Maqasid Sharia related to the Sharia compliant, at the current juncture, we are focusing on the Sharia compliance product or entities only. But as I mentioned, nothing to stop to embrace this kind of document. We already, I think that question has been posted many times to us. We cannot stop the people to embrace our document as well. How a sukuk is certified as Maqasid compliant is the scoring system based on awarding points for overseas contribution or deducting points for non-compliant. We are not going to that yet, but I would say that at the current juncture, the sukuk submission, when we talk about the sukuk submission, one of the requirement of the sukuk submission is to have the Sharia pronouncement by the Sharia advisors. What is the component of the Sharia pronouncement? Number one is the component to make sure that the structure of the sukuk is Sharia compliant, whether you are using the wakalah model, whether you are using the mudarabah model, mudarabah structure, or the musyarakah structure. That's the first glance at the Sharia pronouncement. So the Sharia advisor has to justify taking the opinions given by the scholars, taking from the Quranic verses, taking from the wisdom of the Prophet, peace be upon him, in the justification. But now we are encouraging the Sharia advisors to align whether your sukuk structure and your sukuk issuance is aligned with the principles of Maqasid Sharia or not. For example, the principle number one, cultivation on the basic needs, whether the project, the utilizations of the project is being used for the purpose of serving the basic needs of the people. The project, for example, some of the submission, one of the submissions submit to us that their utilization of proceeds is being used for the purpose of development of housing to the people, and some of the housing development is dedicated for the B40s, which is the needs for them. So the Sharia advisors justify it, because I think they say that we believe that this issuance, this proceed utilization is helping in provide the necessities for the B40s, where shelters actually is the must, and the Sharia advisor says that this is according to the certain verses in the Holy Quran and the Prophet hadith, peace be upon him. So this is justification given by the scholars, try to justify that these are giving certain impact related to the principles that we are issuing, right? So not to the extent that scoring system, and even until now, our Sharia Advisory Council is not giving the approval or not, whether this align or not, this is aligned or not aligned to the Maqasid principle. At the current juncture, our Sharia Advisory Council says that we can receive whatever alignment that given by the Sharia advisors. We are not saying yes or no. We just collect all that kind of information before we are coming out with the standardized approach later. It's not about yes or wrong. It is about justifications is given. And until now, we are not still thinking about to have the scoring system. But I think it's a good suggestion and idea that we can consider later on, inshallah. So I've answered all the questions until now. Did I miss something?
I think your feedback from Azia at the webinar chat very interesting. We are Sharia compliant PLC and issued sustainability linked sukuk last year. As rightfully highlighted, there are a lot of elements that we have implemented within the guidance of Maqasid Al-Shariah. So hopefully reporting to be adopted will be balanced.
Thank you. I think there's the good development can see. I think as I mentioned just now, I think our PLCs is going more advanced from us. We are just issuing the guidance. You already did it, and what we call it, embrace the principles before we issue the document, right? So I think probably we want to engage with any PLCs that have this Sharia compliance status, and you already have the Sharia governance or whatsoever. Probably we want to reach any of the PLCs later on to seek an opinion how we should move forward for this. If this successful, I do believe that this is another game changer for the industry, especially for the PLCs. And as I mentioned just now, Islamic finance actually is a niche and unique proposition of our country, not only Islamic capital market of our country. And this can give a good position later on for our Islamic capital market. If I can end our discussion, Ustaz Hayal, I think same goes to our screening process. I think we are the first jurisdiction in the world start with the Sharia screening. And during that time, there's a lot of critics of us. Why we are coming out with this jurisdiction, why we need to screen all these businesses, whether they Sharia compliant or not. But at the end of the day, now almost all jurisdictions have the Sharia compliant securities or not. So we are the first mover of it. And why not with the collaborations and cooperations by all the PLC, we can have another move for the benefit of our nation later on. It's possible to have scientists to be members of Sharia committees or Sharia Advisory Council in the future. I would never say no. It is possible. Anything is possible. And of course, Sharia Advisory Council need to balance both. I think based on the experience and the history of our Sharia Advisory Council, not all our Sharia Advisory Council is Sharia background. And of course, we are looking forward to have the both sides of it, both sides of the world, meaning to say that they have the robust knowledge in Sharia, and we try to find the robust knowledge in science as well. No harm. I think we already have a lot of Sharia scholars nowadays have the both sides of the world. I think scientists, we need to find it, and I believe one day we can achieve it. If we set this kind of direction later on, I think it is not impossible to have SAC in future among the scientists. Because anyway, what we call it, Sharia is also the science, right? Social science and pure science. Then doesn't matter, but I think combinations actually is good practice moving forward we are looking at. Thank you. So with that, is there any more questions from the floor, Ustaz Sahil, or should I end here?
So, Doctor, we have come to the end of the session. I'm sure we have learned a lot today. Again, thank you so much, Dr. Azrul, for the great explanation, presentation, and to all the attendees, thank you so much for joining this session. See you again in the next Sharia webinar series. So we end our session. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam. Thank you, everyone. Assalamualaikum.